Right. Hello and welcome to our weekly reading. I have got to remember to put my phone on airplane mode before I begin one of these, or I inevitably get interrupted, which even that seems very thematic at the moment, because the real theme that is showing up super duper strongly in this weekly reading is Mars having just stationed retrograde yesterday on Sunday, the 30th of October. And that is, for me, the reading that's come up this week is giving us like an archetypal look at what is my major theme for this Mars retrograde. So remember to choose your number between 1 and 4, and then that'll more than likely be the strongest of these archetypal themes for you. However, you will not just be one way, because Mars has gone retrograde in Gemini, and Gemini is by its very nature dualistic. And as we are dealing with Mars, who is very much about our drive, our momentum, our impetus, how we get what we want, so his whole archetypal essence is forward movement, and now he's going backwards. And remembering Mars is the planet that goes retrograde least often of all of the planets that retrograde. Sun and Moon don't retrograde. He's really uncomfortable because now he can't move forward in the way he wants to. And then there's always two choices, at least when you have Gemini. Now it's two choices of, should I do it this way or should I do it that way? And yet I can't seem to do it anyway right now because I'm kind of stuck. And that is going to be a big theme anyway. It's a long-term transit. We've got it for the next till next year, till early next year. So we really have to ride out the end of the year with this kind of slower, more stuck kind of movement energy. I've drawn two oils for the energy of this reading. One is motivate, because of course Mars motivates for movement, but right now we have to learn how to motivate in a different way. And then forgive, because we might have to forgive people and ourselves, because we may be finding ourselves hot and cold physically, but also emotionally and mentally. We might be finding ourselves super energized and then super depleted. Like it's going to be swinging from extremes likely. And that's frustrating. It's frustrating when that's coming at you from outside of yourself, and it's frustrating when it's from inside of yourself. So we need to work on forgiveness. So let's have a look at this reading, and remembering that whatever number or numbers you chose are going to more than likely be your strongest resonance. So I have a meditation group. Get in touch with me if you'd like to get onto that meditation group. And I just recorded a meditation now which sings to me of this first card, the Knight of Wands, because Mars is all about movement, but right now we can't move. And in the meditation, it was like, find the movement, and my meditations are channeled. Find the movement in place, slow down enough, because Mars often drives us to complete projects and to launch products and to go, gadget, go. But this is about, you're still moving. Mars does need movement, and so does Gemini. So we're going to get really uncomfortable if we literally are not moving at all. So find the movement in your body. Find the joy, find the fun. Allow yourself to feel into your own rhythm, your heartbeat, and get a little bit groovy with it, because you can't move forward in the way you normally would. And if you allow that to frustrate you, then you're going to have a problem. But the Knight of Wands is quite a fun, fiery, creative energy. And sometimes it's kind of like the swirling into that slower creative process that brings us greater products to launch down the line, or creative projects to come up with. So this is actually for our greater good. But if you thought that you could just quickly finish this project and just quickly launch something, then probably that's not really what's going to happen. But rather, the creative butterflying process is going to be very potent for us. So find the movement. And then we've got the Four of Cups, which is, I'm feeling apathetic. My cups are empty. I don't know what to do. I don't have the energy. Nothing seems to be working. And this is definitely how we could easily feel with Mars in retrograde anyway. It's like, what's the point? Everything I try doesn't work. But she's so busy feeling this apathy about everything that she's missing the fact that the universe, and you can see the hand there, presenting her with this beautiful full cup or bowl of all sorts of abundance and rainbow luminescence. And she's just not ready to see it. So I feel like we got this card quite recently, in fact. She's not ready to look there yet. And that's also okay because Mars is in retrograde, and maybe we need to dance between finding the fun and the joy of not having the sort of, maybe we could look at it as work movement, and rather just having a holiday groove going. And also, why am I feeling so stuck? Why am I feeling like nothing works? Life's so unfair. I think I'm going to eat some worms. We kind of need to experience both of those things and then find the balance. Like, how do I get out of my slump? And how do I not only holiday, but find my forward movement with my career trajectory or wherever it is that you feel you get most stagnant? So the Four of Cups is something that we kind of are going to be feeling. If this is the card you chose, maybe that's going to be the biggest aspect of this retrograde for you, is having some time in the apathy, in the despondence, in the blah and poor me kind of feel. And remember, to have our pity party is not the end of the world. Sometimes we need a bit of a pity party, but we just don't want to live in this energy. Eventually, which hopefully happens sooner than later, we get to turn our head and see that there is plenty being presented to us. The third card is the Knight of Swords. So you see we've got two knights, and knights are very Martian. They are about taking action, rescuing the princess in the old archetypal theme. I love how this deck is much more diverse than that. That knight is depicted as a woman, and this knight is depicted as a man. You can see he's running to his bike. So Knight of Wands is fire and Knight of Swords is air. And Gemini, Mars is fire and Gemini is air. So we've kind of got two knights. Gemini is a sign of twos. We've got one for Mars archetype and one for Gemini archetype. I quite like that. And both of them are upright. So there is this strong forward drive in this, but it's maybe like, this guy is ready to, in his mind, he's ready to run and solve the world's problems, because Gemini is a thinking kind of sign. He's going to hop on his bike and he's going to go and rescue the world from all of these things. And yet, if we even think of this as a stationary picture, we can be looking at this picture for years and he's never going to reach the bike. So that's kind of the feeling that you get with the retrograde, is that he's running and running and getting nowhere. I love his grounded red sole of his shoe, and one of those feet is on the ground and one is lifted up. So it is also, remember to keep your feet on the ground. Your ideas are there, but maybe they just you can't get on the bike yet. The ideas are there. Maybe you should be brainstorming those ideas and concepts rather than trying to, before that idea is fully formed, jump on the bike and rescue the princess, take it to the world, be humanity's savior, because knights do have this wonderful energy of wanting to rescue, wanting to help. They're very service oriented, but they also want the to be knightly and to be looked at as the heroes. So we also need to look, and Mars likes that too. And he's actually a challenging planet who often tries to get that recognition as being the hero and then ends up being the bad guy, because he's all about bloodlust and fight at the best of times. So how do we change that? How do we be a different kind of warrior? Because that is what knights are. And if you chose this knight, then you really do want to look at that, especially in the way that you're thinking and the stories you're telling, which has got a lot to do with the sign of Gemini as well. And then our final card is the only major arcana card, and we didn't get any Pentacles cards in this deck. So even there, in this reading, so even there it says to me that this is not a time of materializing things, because Pentacles are earth energy where we actually bring things into fruition and materialize. And it's kind of saying to us, this Mars retrograde archetypally is not about what you're creating that you can now touch, taste, feel, sell, whatever. It's more the internal process of what will be created down the line. And the seven of the major arcana is the Chariot card. And this is a really beautiful card of forward momentum when it's upright. You've got the two horses. Knights are often depicted, okay, he's got his bike, this one's got a horse, but knights are often depicted with horses. And you've got the two knights, and in this card you've got the two horses, and the one is the black and the one is the white. So it's the yin and the yang, or the day and the night, or the shadow and the light, however archetypally you want to look at that. There's so many different ways. And as I say, you can even just see the forward flow and movement when this card is upright. But this is a big reminder, and remembering that major arcana is about the things that are outside of our control. So it's outside of our control right now how fast we can move forward. And if we can relax into that, and goodness knows that's not so easy to do. It's easy to say, and it's easy to recognize that might be necessary, but it doesn't make it easy to do. Simple but not easy. But if we can surrender into the fact that this is a stewing time, we're in this alchemical pot within the eclipse portal, within the Mars retrograde, within all the big astrology and energies and politics and all going on in the world at the moment. We're in this stew of alchemical who knows what. We are transforming. We don't know what that's going to look like, and we can't speed it up. We may want to, sure, I'm sure most of us do, but we can't. And if we can kind of accept that. So again, if this was the card you chose, then maybe your biggest thing is coming to accept what is outside of your control. Because this is the speed and momentum with which the world is changing is absolutely outside of your control, any of our control. The more that we can try to just be on the journey, so the chariot doesn't have the forward momentum, maybe he's taking a whole different route and maybe it takes longer, but when we actually get to that destination that he thought he was getting to, we've learned a lot more along the way because we took the scenic route and we took the highs and lows and we went over the mountain and in the mountain and round the mountain, and we lost a wheel on the chariot and had to figure out how to get that back on before we could be on our way, and maybe one of the horses threw a shoe and we needed to figure that out along the way. And so instead of just taking the easy straight path, which we all want to take but is actually not ours for the taking right now, we take this crazy scenic route, and along the journey we meet friends, we meet enemies, we meet challenges, and we overcome them. And in that overcoming, we become the heroes of our own journey that these knights are really kind of wanting to be. And it's not about being recognized as the hero by anybody else but yourself. It's about becoming your own hero and losing your own victim. Looking, where am I victimized? And is that true? And, is life really that unfair? Am I the only one who's suffering right now? Or is this a collective alchemical stew? And I would go with that latter one. Even though we all have our pity party days and we're allowed them, try not to let them overcome you and overwhelm you. I hope this reading has been helpful for you. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, follow me on my various platforms, help me grow my business, and get in touch if you'd like personal support, guidance, or readings. Thanks very much for watching.